This is not the video that I had planned to make, but I think that it's important for me to make it and for people to hear because it's real and it's raw and it's ugly and it's sad and it's tragic. And the best way to get through something like this is to talk about it, but also know that there's others in similar situations that are experiencing the same things. Originally, I had planned to do a garage gym tour, and I do still plan on doing that video. It just doesn't feel right to move on normally without talking about it a little bit and why maybe my platform seems and feels stagnant or different right now. So in this video, I am sharing how I am getting back into my routine and trying to stay motivated through experiencing tragedy. There is no good way to prepare for tragedy or loss or immense sadness. And dealing with that and getting back to a sense of normal or a sense of routine feels quite impossible. And this isn't the first time that I have been through something like this, or my family has been through something like this. So we understand, I think, fairly well what is to happen, what is going to happen. And this video I want to share because I think it will help anyone else in a situation like this. I guess I should explain a little bit maybe what happened. A little over a week ago, we decided to, on a Sunday, go get a Christmas tree and headed up the mountain to a spot where we like to go. Played around for the day, made some hot cocoa, got our Christmas tree, and started to head home. And on our way home, our family witnessed a vehicle off the side of the road, and it looked really bad. So we pulled over to assess the situation. My husband was a firefighter, EMT, he has all the training, and there was nobody on the scene. So we pulled over to see what was going on, and what we witnessed as a family was intense and tragic. Essentially, a truck was driving down the road, two parents, two children. The truck went off the road into a tree. It had wrapped itself around a tree, and the parents did not survive. I stayed with our kids in our car, and I just tried to direct traffic and get them to slow down so that my husband and the other people helping could focus on what needed to be done and waiting for help. So my husband was the first person on the scene to assess everybody, to find everybody, to determine the severity of everybody. He ended up sticking with one of the children the entire time until the paramedics and firefighters showed up. After the event, after everything was said and done, and the children made it out, made it to the hospital, made it home. After the hospital, they have a family who is caring for them and loving on them. And anyway, afterward, we come to find out that my husband actually knew the driver, the father, not closely, but he was in the fire world as well. And so they trained in the same places with the same people, and he knew of the person in the accident. So that is the backstory of this last week or week and a half. This video is not about the accident, but knowing that information and why we're going through what we're going through is helpful. So this week, we knew that we would be on edge, maybe angry, emotional, heartbroken. We knew our kids weren't going to sleep well that night, and they didn't. After something like this, where you experience huge emotions, it is very normal to be exhausted, lethargic, to be angry for no reason, to want to kind of isolate. Those are all very normal feelings. So the next day and for the next week, this last week, we decided to give ourselves the time to experience all of those emotions. So we didn't work out. We ate whatever really we wanted to eat. We went out to eat quite a bit because we didn't want to cook. And we were just okay with that. Monday, 8 days later, I decided that it's time for me to do a workout. Knowing that it's going to be difficult, knowing that it's going to be hard, knowing that things that should feel easy are going to be extreme. And that's exactly what happened. I came into the garage to do a workout and I could barely do a warm-up. I've experienced that before. Everything feels heavy, everything feels hard, everything feels incredibly challenging. I had to just accept the fact that it was the first workout back and it wasn't going to be pretty. So I ended up doing a couple push-ups, a little bit of rowing. I walked on the treadmill and that was about it. That's all my body could physically handle. So I just let that be. Tuesday, I was able to do high rocks training, which is what I've been working on. And so I was able to push the duration a little bit longer, but I still wasn't able to push the weight or push the intensity. And that is normal too. So this week is really just about me finding my limitations in my workouts and understanding when those limitations come up and just accepting them. And today I thought I'll just come out and row for 30 minutes and see how that goes. After my row, I felt good enough to do a little bit of bodybuilding style workouts. However, I still kept those very, very simple and basic. I cut everything short, I cut everything light, and I really only did about 3 or 4 exercises. I think we talk a lot about getting back into workouts after the holidays or after vacation or after, normal life events, but this is not a normal life event. And I don't think a lot of people talk about how to get back into workouts or find motivation again because it is so difficult to keep any kind of routine. So here are some things that I have learned along the way, or I'm maybe accepting a little bit more right now. Number 1 is, like I've been saying, just go with the flow, at least for a week or 2, because when you're in a situation where your adrenaline is through the roof, you are going to have dump after that. And that's where exhaustion and fatigue and wanting to kind of close the world off comes from, and that's why it happens. So going with the flow and allowing you and your body and your mind to experience what it needs to experience is, I think, the best medicine in the beginning. Number 2 is hard because I think we hear it a lot, but is to listen to your body. And what I mean by that is if you're going to push your body during this time, it's going to fight back because it is still in a very much fight or flight state. And pushing it is only going to prolong the time that it fights back. So if push-ups feel hard, make them easier. If you can usually lift 200 pounds and you can barely pick up a 20-pound dumbbell right now, don't do any weight. Do body weight movements. So that's what I mean when I say listen to your body. It will tell you what's too much. And it honestly won't be long before you get back into what you were doing before. It's not forever. It's for a week or 2 or 3, depending on how well you listen to your body. And number 3, and this is probably the hardest thing that I am learning right now, it's normal to feel bad about being happy. And at the same time, it is normal to feel bad about feeling bad. And what I mean is it's hard to walk away from something like what we saw and feel joy, especially during this holiday season, when I know that there's so much ache and pain for this family. And on the other hand, it's hard to complain or be upset or be frustrated at my situation when I know that there is so much sadness. It is a normal feeling to have, and realizing that that is okay. I don't know how much of this is helpful, but I posted about it on Instagram, and so many people wanted to hear what we're doing, how we're doing it, how I'm getting back to things. So I hope that this helps in any way. Last thoughts are that because we had realized that we had connections with this family, it did make the process, I think, a lot easier to cope with. We've been given the tools that we need to handle this. We know now, looking back, that we were placed there on purpose, not by accident. Everything we did on that day made absolutely no sense until that moment. And all of our decisions were made for us, not by us. So that actually is a gift, I think. It's hard to put it into words because if you're spiritual, it feels like we were just being moved around the entire day. It's still heavy and it still hurts, and I can't stop thinking about this family and what they're going to have to go through and what they've been through. But I also feel lucky and blessed that we get to help them in some way. It feels like we were chosen to do that, and that's, while it is heavy, it also is an honor. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. I know this is not my normal video, but I think it needed a place here. And so I do plan on making that gym tour video next week. So if you aren't subscribed, make sure you are so that you don't miss that. I will get back on a weekly posting schedule. If you have any questions, or maybe you have tips or advice, please share those down below. I'd love to help answer any questions if I can. And I think that is all. So again, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.